Supported decision making.
Supported decision-making is an alternative to guardianships that puts you in charge of deciding how you want to live your life. In this presentation, Crystal Cerullo, Nick Fartura, and Anna Reagle will share a real-life account of someone with a disability using supported decision-making.
Join in to learn how you can use smart decision making too.
I hope everybody is in the right session. This is on supported decision making, or we like to use the acronym SDM, so we might kind of go back and forth with that. And myself is Crystal Cerullo. I'm an individual and family support specialist at the Paul V. Sherlock Center on Disabilities, but I'm also a mom of a young boy named Angelo who has Down syndrome. And I'll let Anna and Nick introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Anna Reagle. I'm joining the supported decision making, and I'm peer advisor for Making Up Point.
Thank you, Anna. Nick, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm 25 years old. I live at home in an in-law apartment. I work part-time at Roger Williams University.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick.
No problem.
And I wanted to just share, I'm going to stop sharing so we don't have to look at the slide. We can look at each other and then I'll go back to it. I wanted to share just a little bit about supported decision making before we go into it, just so people know what it is, and then we'll get into our actual presentation. Rhode Island passed the Supported Decision Making Act in 2019. This act made it possible for people with disabilities to legally receive help with making their decisions. And Rhode Island isn't the only place who made supported decision making possible. It's spreading around the US and around the world. The only requirement for Rhode Island adults to use supported decision making is that they must be able to express their decision. However, that does not mean that it has to be verbally. You can write it, you can use a speaker's board, you can nod, shake your head, use sign language, or any other way that somebody uses to be able to express their decisions or communicate will work for supported decision making.
Yeah, everybody see that again?
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Our first slide is based on what is supported decision making. And so these are the questions that we're going to ask each other and answer. So maybe I'll leave it up for when we ask each other, but I'll take it down when we, actually no, I'll just take it down. I know they don't want us to keep the slides up the whole time, but I'll bring it back up before we go to the next one. But these are the questions we're going to ask each other and answer. And if anybody has questions at any time, please don't hesitate to raise your hand, put it in the chat, or come off mute, and we're happy to answer questions as we go throughout. All right, so Anna, do you want to ask Nick the first question?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So, what does it mean to make your own choices?
It means a lot of me because a lot of people don't get that opportunity. I'm the best person to make my own decisions.
So I'm going to ask the next question for Anna. Who helps you think about big or hard decisions? Some examples could be like moving to a new place, or who to live with, or if you have a medical procedure like a surgery.
Yeah, so I make most majority of decisions on my own, especially with hard or big decisions. I would think about it, I'll sit on it for some time. I do process it out with other people. I'll show it to my parents and other family members and relatives, and even to my friendships, what they have to tell me and to provide guidance. And in the steps towards that before making an informed decision. At the end of the day, it is me to make that final informed decision. And what feels right to me, also to trust the process, and also trusting my gut, no matter what the size may be, like no matter what the decision may be.
That's awesome, Anna. And I think that's really great. The key, I think one of the things that I'm really taking away from what you said is an informed decision. So
I
you got all the information so that you could make that best choice, and then you had the final say. So
Yeah.
thank you. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
Nick, do you want to ask the last question?
Yes. How can someone help you decide without choosing for you? Example, they can explain your choices in a simple way, answer your question, talk with you about what might happen with each option. Do a list. Do a list or a pro or con list.
Yes, I think those are great examples of how somebody can help you. And I know for myself, I don't make any big decision without asking somebody for help or advice. Like, I'm not gonna go and buy a car without asking someone to test drive it with me or to come look at it that might know about cars, or somebody that might understand how to do the financing for it. So I think we all kind of use supported decision making in our daily lives just by relying on other people to help us when we have to make decisions, whether they're big or small. And I think those are great ways that we can do that. We can make pro and con lists. We can see if someone can help us understand the information in an easier way. We can really weigh out what are all the options that are available to us. We can do research. So there's so many ways that we can get help when we're having to make a big decision or making a choice. I can talk about this one quick and then we'll go back to the questions.
Yes, you're
So I just wanted to share that supported decision making is also an alternative, which just means that it's another option that you can use as an alternative to, or another option to, limited guardianship. And that means that you can use supported decision making for some or all of your decisions, and that you shouldn't get appointed a limited guardian for those decisions that you can use supported decision making for. And if you already have a limited guardian, you can also use supported decision making to cut back on how much your guardian decides for you, or even remove the guardianship completely. And there's many other alternatives, and I included some of them on the slide, which we're not gonna spend time to discuss them today, but I kind of just wanted to give people examples of what those other alternatives like supported decision making that can be used. So durable power of attorney, rep payee trust, able accounts, and these are all things that you can use in combination with supported decision making and or by themselves. So I just wanted to kind of review that stuff briefly so people knew about other things that you can also have with or without supported decision making to really help. Okay, so now we're on the next one.
Yep, and that's my question to you, Crystal.
Yes, so
Yeah.
this one is, why is it important? And these are the questions we're gonna ask, and I'll do stop and share so that you can ask me the question.
All right, so why is it good to make your own choices?
I feel for myself, when I make my own choices, it's the best way I'm gonna learn from whatever choices that I make. Whether they're good choices or bad, I'm gonna learn from it and grow. It also makes me feel more independent. It's helping me build skills on decision making. And I just think it's important to have the autonomy to be able to make my own choices and decisions, whether they're big or small. Nick or Anna, do you have anything to add to that of why you think it's good for you to make your own choices?
I would say why it's good for you to make your own decisions because it's part of life. It's part of your independence, going into like the adult world.
Yeah, definitely. So I have the next question. It's for Nick. How does it feel when someone listens to your ideas?
It makes me feel like I'm being listened to, and it makes me glad to be trusted.
Yeah, very true. All right, Nick, you get to ask Anna the next question.
Yes. How does it feel if other people make all your choices?
It actually takes away all of your autonomy and all of your self-advocacy or you let others make those choices for you. I wouldn't have a say over any decisions about my life whatsoever. I wouldn't have a voice, or it would limit and be restrictive. It takes away your power. The way you present yourself doesn't make you to have any independence as an adult in the life that you live, or to be successful. That would mean that other people would have full control over you, and you can't speak up at all to express what you do feel.
Really good points, Anna. Thank you. So our next slide is on choosing supporters. So with supported decision making, you get to choose people that are going to support you with helping make decisions, and they're called supporters. So you can choose people that you choose and that they have to agree to help you, but they should be people that know you and the decisions that you want to be making. And you can have one supporter or you can have several. You can have a group of supporters, and you can choose what type of decisions those people are going to help you with making. So I'm asking Anna, who do you go for help when you're making decisions or choices?
So I make a lot of decisions and choices myself on an everyday basis. From the morning I wake up to the time I go to bed. But at the same time, you do need that help from a guidance to navigation to help you in life to the right direction. You still have the power for your own well-being in itself, but we do need people to trust to lean on. I start with myself and my faith as a beginning point, and then I work my way down to my family, friends, and other resources. And they're always there to support you, but your decisions to make your life better.
Yeah, I think those are great examples. Nick, you get to ask me.
Who listens to you and cares about what you want?
So I feel like my husband does, and my family, and most of my close friends. I mean, that's why I'm friends with them, right? They're people that listen to me. They care about things that I care about. They care about what's important to me. They support me. So those are all great, like Anna said, and for myself, those are all people that I would maybe want to have as one of my supporters that help me with certain things. Anna, do you want to ask Nick the last question?
Yes. How can you tell if someone be a good supporter? In the example, is they explain things clearly, answer your questions, and care about what matters to you.
Very good. Someone who knows how to listen and knows when to stop doing all the talking.
Nice, nice.
Right. And I just wanted to briefly share, because there's so many people that can be supporters, it's actually easy to share who would not be able to be a supporter. So I wanted to just briefly share that while we're talking about supporters. Basically, just your current service provider. So somebody that, like, if you're getting services through an agency, a provider agency or something, they would not be able to be your supporter because they're providing direct services to you. Your employer or employee, so somebody that might be your direct support staff or DSP cannot be a supporter, and or like your boss if you are working and you have a boss, but you can also coworker, but it can't be your actual boss. And then the last restriction is it can't be someone that's legally kept from contacting you. So if there's like a court order where they cannot come in contact with you, they would not be able to be a supporter. But other than that, all the ones that we kind of mentioned that people might think of, community members, friends, family, could all be supporters. So our next slide is, what do supporters do? And these are the questions that we are going to ask each other. Right, Anna, you want to ask the first question?
What can your supporters do when a choice is hard?
So I think that we kind of touched upon this already, but really your supporter is there to help you in any way that you need help in that decision-making process. So whether it's gathering the information, doing research, you could even sign releases so they could have communication with your doctors or with professionals on your behalf to get that information for you. They should present it to you in a simple way that you can understand. So whatever way that is, whether it's visuals or just having simpler information, smaller amounts of information so that you can best digest that and make that decision. Again, you can make like those pro and cons list or charts or anything that's going to help you. And then the other piece, they can also, if you give them permission, can share what you decided with the professional or the doctor. So I know for myself, one of the examples I usually give is I practice supported decision-making, as we call it informally, with my dad who had Parkinson's. So when I say informal, I just mean we didn't have an agreement, which I'll kind of later say what that is. And with his Parkinson's, his speech was really bad, but he also couldn't process information as quickly either. So I went to all his doctor's appointments and I would listen, and then I would present it to him later when he could like more process it, and I would do it in smaller amounts. And then I would, on his behalf, go and share what his decision was since his speech was really bad. But really he had the final decision whether I agreed with it or not. And it's not my place to put my bias on that. But I would just share and make sure, as Anna said earlier, that he had all the information to make an informed decision. So it really can be vast on what they do. Nick, you have the next question.
Yes, this is to you, Anna. Can someone explain things in a way that makes sense to you?
Yes. The best ways that I can learn best is listening, visuals, since those are my learning styles. But it takes a lot of different ways and different places of location for something to make sense to me. I hear people out what they have to tell me in all areas, and even someone like explaining things to me. It opens me up as a person to hear the other person, but it all depends on the delivery of the way the other speaks to me. And then there's a factor where it can't make sense to it to be explained.
Awesome. Those are great, Anna. Nick, who can go with you to meetings or appointments?
My mom always does. It helps because she can help me with filling out paperwork, like let's say dentists, all that, and doctors, and then hospital, all that stuff. Helping to understand options the doctor might be giving me for like operations, for example.
Awesome. I think those are great. So setting boundaries is our next category, and Anna is going to be asking me the first question.
Do you have the final say about a decision?
Yes, I do. And whether I'm using supported decision making or not, I have the final say in my decision. And I think that's what makes supported decision making great. So I can get help, but I have the final say. Nick, what should a supporter not do? For example, make decisions for you, push their own beliefs on you, or ignore what you want.
A supporter should not ignore what I say or tell me that they know better than me, because it's almost like they don't like get the whole picture sometimes in a certain situation, because they'll try to deny and say that, oh, well, he's fine, you know.
Yeah, that was great, Nick. Do you want to ask Anna your last one? I know we're getting close on time and we have one more slide left, so we're almost there.
Yes, Anna, this is to you. What can you do if someone is not respecting your choices? Example, you can remind them that in SDM, their role is to help you understand options, not make decisions for you. Even if they disagree with your choice, you can also choose a different supporter or find new supporters who will listen and respect to what you want.
Yeah, I would say that the main thing I always do is to advocate for myself by addressing it up front, by being honest and what it makes me feel, especially when I feel or state mix. It's different with many people. I do other approaches when it comes down to communicating what I do feel as appropriate for others that I'm with. Important and essential is making that first move. By having conversation with the other person. And Rick, I'm not that best at this. I'm not that best in a specific kind of situation. I need to be better in controlling of what I can do, especially to reframe the situation and the way I act upon it. And to my last thought is to depend on any situation when someone is not respecting a certain choice of mine and an explanation of why they feel that way. Because to me, their needs matters than my own needs and desires.
Yeah. And I think both of you bring up good points of like, if someone's not listening to you, as Nick mentioned, like you can change, you can talk to your supporter and see if you can work it out, but you can also change them at any time. So even if you have a supporter decision-making agreement, you can change who your supporters are listed in there. You can update it. And it's okay for supporters to help you with any or all parts of decision-making process. That's why they're there. It's just not okay for them to make the decisions for you. So our everyday examples is our next one. And we might have covered some of these, but I don't think it hurts if we have any other examples, we might still want to share them. So Nick, you have the first question.
Yes, Anna, this is to you. Who helped you decide what to buy? Example, daily things you may buy versus big purchases.
I always look into things on my own of what I want to process. It was a tremendous process. My father is a financial advisor, and he really helped me. I get a good amount of guidance and navigation from him, which is good or bad. I'll pay for things independently with a category in life of my health and well-being. I'll communicate and I need to buy something, but I pay quite independently, like medical appointments, social situations, going to restaurants, and what's important is my smart decisions, including wise thinking and how I decide to go about it.
I think that's a good example, Anna, that like you might do your day-to-day purchases, but that's a great resource to have a parent who's a financial advisor. So when you have big decision makings, you've already got a professional in your corner to help you with that.
I do.
That's great. So I have the next one, and it's for you, Anna. Who helps you understand forms or paperwork?
I independently do all of my forms and paperwork for myself. Wherever I go, I use my advocacy. If I'm stuck on any questions or in the need of understanding, I'll go to the front desk and ask for their assistance, and also ask questions to my mother for help if I'm stuck or something. But I know myself better. So it's really simple and easy for me to fill out this kind of stuff about myself and the treatments that I need. But I have the resources I need to turn to, and I need them for paperwork needs.
Awesome. Anna, do you want to ask Nick?
Yes, Nick, who do you talk to if you're unsure about a choice?
I usually talk to my mom for uncertain choices.
Perfect. Nick, who helps you with decisions around healthcare, like having a surgery or a procedure?
Again, my mom, one night a few years ago, I was so sick, we had to call the ambulance. I found out that I had a gallstone. We had to talk to a surgeon who told me I could either have surgery to take it out or make sure I don't eat anything else to make another attack. I decided to have it. After my mom let me take the time to think it out, on the day of my surgery, my mom was able to stay in the hospital room right up until I was under anesthesia, because she told them, we had supported decision making, and that in order to make any decision. I needed to be there in case there was something I didn't understand completely.
That's awesome. And that's a great example of, so you're using supported decision making formally, as we would say. So you have an actual agreement.
Yeah.
And your mom is one of your supporters for healthcare decisions. And so you were able to bring that and show the hospital that you have this legal document that says that your mom is one of your supporters and can be there with you. And she was able to be there to help you with any of that decision-making process.
Right.
Awesome. That's great. Nick, you have the last question for me.
Yes, this is to you. Can a supporter share your decision on your behalf if that's what you want?
So I did answer this before, but yes, you can. And I used to do that for my dad a lot. And I think your mom kind of helped you with that in the hospital. So yes, you can. And I wanted to just briefly kind of, because I brought up informal and formal use. So me and Anna kind of practice supported decision-making informally. I think all of us practice supported decision-making on a daily basis. We just don't have to call it that. We rely on others to help us with making big decisions or asking for help with support on what our choices are or what we should do. But the formal way is there is an agreement. And on our last slide, I have the information of where you can get a copy of what a sample agreement looks like. There is a supported decision-making coalition, which I'll talk about in the next slide, that can help with any questions around supported decision-making. But basically, the agreement allows you kind of to choose what decisions you want people to help you with, and then what are those people or supporters that are going to help you with those decisions. And it's a legal document that you can take with you to any financial, any healthcare, any important thing that you have people assigned that are going to help you with those decision-making. So it's a great tool to have. So this is the supported decision-making coalition. So we help answer questions about supported decision-making. We do trainings and give presentations. We can help you understand or think about supporters for your supported decision-making agreement or working through that like agreement process. And so I have a bit.ly that brings you to the Sargent Rehab Regional Resource Center, which it houses the supported decision-making coalition. And then also Kate Sherlock, her contact is on there, and I'll put this stuff in the chat as well, is the head of the coalition. So that is her contact as well. If anybody has any questions or would like to connect with the coalition, please feel free to do so.
Check out the website for more information at https://bit.ly/ri-sdm. Contact Kate Sherlock for more information at kates@sargentcenter.org.
Any questions for myself or Anna or Nick? Is anybody else using supported decision making?
I have a question.
Yes.
How important is it for the person to remain non-judgmental and unbiased? Do you feel like when you're working with somebody, Anna or Nick or anybody, what do you guys think of that?
I know that I can share, but there's a lot of noise in its conference from where I am.
Can you repeat the question? Sorry, Nicole.
Yeah, sure. So how important is it when you're working with somebody to help you come to a informed decision for them to remain unbiased and non-judgmental and to really let you understand that their role isn't to place value on your decision?
It's very important.
Have you ever run into an instance where you feel like other people's values kind of got in the way?
I wouldn't really say that. Like, I would say just very like when a question's not like needed or something like that, or it has to depend on like the time and place for that. Yeah, it's about when you call out sick and everything like that. It's like once you make your decision, no one can stop you. They can try, but it's not gonna solve anything. They can try, but it's not gonna solve anything.
And I think as we talked about, when that happens, maybe it's a conversation. If you feel like you can have that conversation with the person that I feel like you're pushing, what your opinion on me, And if they can work on that, then you can move forward. But if not, maybe that's when you do have to maybe think about changing that supporter if you don't feel like, they're just forcing their opinions or their beliefs on you. Because I think that's part of it, is it really should be unbiased if possible. And for myself, I always share for my dad, even doing it informally, he was Italian and very stubborn. And so there was no way that I was going to make those decisions for him, and he would have just cut me out of the whole process. So really, like, there were times that it was very frustrating, and that there could be some services that or support that could be really helpful for him. And he was like, no. All I could do was present the information and hope, and give him all the options and why it could maybe be beneficial. But really, he was going to make that decision. So I think we just have to have that same kind of respect for everybody, that whether it's good or bad.
Do you guys think it's helpful to create like a pros and cons list with somebody?
I think, like Anna and Nick have shared, it's kind of whatever works best for that individual. I'm a list person, but Anna had said she kind of likes visuals. People have different ways. And so that's why it should be people that know the person and how they do that decision-making process. Like, do they do lists? Do they do visuals? Do they, what is their process for trying to make decisions? And so then presenting it that way. And it might look different. Like Anna said, certain decisions might be different of how that process works for her. Sharon?
Yeah. So, I'm in the process. We got decision making for my young adult who's 21. And right now we're experiencing the leaving school, going into adult services. We have like 1 foot for the next 2.5 months still in school, and then we're in full adult services full time. So as we're speaking with adult agencies and blending services, I feel like they're talking to me, and I need them to talk to PJ because he's the one that's going to be it's going to be his life and his decisions. And that's been a little tricky, making sure that he's copied on all the emails, and that when we're corresponding, that we're including, a we focus, and a PJ has some ideas and things like that. It's been eye-opening, really, to see how many people still have that speaking to the parent mentality when really it needs to be bringing PJ focus. And he's not a kiddo that's got a lot of verbal skills, so we're working towards it, but he can definitely make decisions. Even if he doesn't have a lot of words, he has very strong opinions, and they need to be respected. So
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's a shift, that's for sure. Because you kind of get used to that space of when they're in high school that you're going to the parent. Nick, do you want to share that, how that has been for you?
The verbally what you were just saying, Sharon, that is very big. I feel like people don't get the picture that people do have a hard time verbalizing that stuff, because like they don't get that they have that issue, or they don't have that privilege like I do, because I can say it out loud like perfectly.
They might not listen.
Right, they may not listen, even if you say it like clear as crystal.
Yeah,
yep, that's why we've got lots of, like, I have a copy of his supported decision making. I keep it in the glove box of my vehicle. I have it on my phone, so that if anyone was to say to me, "Oh no, we can't talk to you, Mom," I'm like, "Oh well, yes you can, because we have an agreement, and here it is." And so that's been helpful too, when like I've been able to go to his doctor's appointments, and I've been able to help him at the bank and things like that, and we've made shared decision making. It's really been a very useful and a very positive experience for us. So, and I love that it still maintains his ability to make the decisions and to be at the center of all the decisions in his life. So I think that's really great.
Yeah, and I think, Sharon, it kind of goes both ways. Like, you have it on hand for if they cut you out, but you could also have it on hand for if they're cutting him out. Like, hey, look, he's got an agreement, like he's supposed to be making a decision. I'm just on here as a supporter, so that they still include him. But I definitely understand the nonverbal piece, because my son is nonverbal. So like that's and that's why I love the support decision-making act, because you don't have to verbally be able to express yourself. You just have to be able to express a decision. And so I feel like, as Nick said, like even if someone can't verbally or very clear share their opinion, my son can very well tell me what he wants in other ways. He makes it very clear. And I feel like so everyone has usually a way that they can share what they want or what they don't want, even if it's not verbally. Nicole, you had a question.
Yeah, I have a question for Sharon. Do you feel like the school and the other people that are providing this transition support to your son provide the information to him in a way that he can really understand? Is that an issue you come up against?
It's mixed. Nicole, really, some are better than others. I remind everybody that he does well with visuals, so he will always turn on the closed captioning when we're in a meeting like this so that he can read along with the verbal input. And he does really well with checklists or writing things down. I said, even if it's like a whiteboard with first then, like sometimes that's what he needs in order to understand what's coming up next. So I don't think everyone has been like that. I would say it's about a 50-50 split.
Thanks.
But they've been receptive too. When I've given them reminders too, they've like, oh, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can, here's your choices, right? And they'll write them down. And then he's able to make an easier choice.
Anna, do you have anything to add from those that were shared or?
I think so. I don't really know, but what comes up to my mind is whatever, if there's any other ways that you can communicate, like through different apps or something, and you can have more like voice and not always be laying on the other person.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people are using technology now to help and different ways. I know my son has a tablet with an app that helps him, but then he also does some sign language, pointing, gestures. So there's just so many forms of communication that can be helpful. And I think that's part of what the supporters could help too, is that in making sure that that person does have that voice in any way that they can do it. And sometimes that might be part of what the supporter does, just to make sure that person's getting heard. Does anybody else have any other questions for us?
I'll add too, it was super simple to get it notarized. We just went to our local bank and there was a notary right up the street. It took like 5 minutes to get it notarized. So it's like you don't have to go to a lawyer's office or, you can just find a notary in order to make it a legal document. I found that was very easy. Sometimes that's a barrier for people thinking that it's going to be hard, and it's really not.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, no, you're so right. It is a legal document, but it just has to have 2 witnesses and a notary republic, and that's it. And you don't have to have a lawyer. Like I said, the coalition is there to support people too through the process or with any questions. So it is a lot simpler to get it done. And you can make updates to it and make changes. You can terminate at any time. Like I said, you can change supporters. You just have to re-sign it. Does anybody else have any questions or anything to share? I hope we did cover the basis of supported decision-making, kind of how you can use it, who can and cannot be a supporter, what they can do.
Do you want to show us the website to find more information, Crystal?
So if you use that bit.ly, it brings up the Sargent Center, which houses the Supported Decision-Making Coalition. And so they have a whole website on understanding supported decision-making, that it's an alternative, as I talked about. And then under resources, the second one is the sample supported decision-making agreement. You don't have to use this. You can really make any agreement you want. You just want to make sure that it follows the act, which is included on this sample agreement. So if you did want to tweak it, you can change it a little bit. We have a You Decide toolbook in English or Spanish, and that's a great, it walks you through, it has the supported decision-making agreement at the end of it, but then in the beginning, it really talks about supported decision-making. It gives you some ideas of how to pick supporters. It has some great charts that you can kind of think about what are those decisions that you might want help with. And then we also at the Sherlock have taken this toolbook and we have put it in plain language and at a 5th grade reading level. And so that's going to be updated soon. We'll have 2 versions so that if someone wants a little bit more simpler version, that'll be available in English and Spanish as well. There's some videos on supported decision making. There was also a podcast episode that Kate Sherlock and Tarif listed on supported decision making. And then these are some other just resources that could be helpful when you're thinking about having some tools for making decisions. And then there's also the National Center for Supported Decision Making. And then another great resource that's not listed on here is the Disability Rights for Rhode Island has a supported decision making website that just went up about a month ago as well. But this is where the coalition is housed out of. Any questions about this at all? And there's a number here that you can call and they'll connect you to Kate, or you can use that email address that I put in the chat as well. And these slides will be shared with everyone too, those slides that I showed. So you'll have the questions and you'll have the contact information and the website. Anna, Nick, any last things from you or?
I don't know, to be honest.
Thank you guys for all coming. We hope you learned a lot and enjoyed the session.
Great.
Thank you.
This recording is from one of the workshops that presenters shared at Trailblazers, Rhode Island's 2026 Self-Advocacy Conference. Visit the webpage for this session to find out more about the resources that presenters mentioned in this recording and additional information at advocatesinAction.org/2026-SACONF-WS5.
Produced by Advocates in Action Rhode Island, 2026. Remember, nothing about us without us.